Welcome to The Way Home with Laura Smith, the show that brings you wonderful guests, helpful advice, and uplifting stories. The Way Home. Live inspired. Here's your host, Laura Smith.
Well, there are books, and then there are stories. And today's author is going to help us really understand what I think is a brilliant work of art, and it's actually a memoir. So it's an interesting book to me in the sense that it's written with so much beauty and so much the feeling that it feels like a work of art, but it is her story. It's a personal story, and it is so compelling and so unbelievable at certain times in the book that you can't even imagine how she came out the way she did. And so beautiful, and with this incredible moving piece. The book is called All Is Well, a memoir of loss, survival, and inner strength. And Miryeganeh is my wonderful guest today, all the way from Japan. This is my first time speaking with someone in Japan. I've spoken with people in different places, but this is probably the furthest. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure. And thank you for the nice introduction.
Well, I have to say, my blood pressure is a little high. I've been reading your book, and it's so compelling. A lot of books will describe certain things within a memory or whatever, but when I'm reading All Is Well, I am taken into I feel like I'm in exactly the place you were when you were going through. So whether you were a 4-year-old girl and your relationship with your father, your mother, your brother, and then later on, as you are older, going through unspeakable cruelty and hell, basically. And yet throughout it, with this beautiful voice, this innocent, beautiful voice that is yours, that is so honest about all that you went through. Please, for the audience, tell us the backdrop, which begins in Iran, back in the Iran-Iraq war, back in the early 80s, the 80s to 88, when you were a small girl, and having the photographic memory that you actually have. You have these memories from such a young age.
Yes. So I'm from Iran, and I was born during the war, as you mentioned. And I was... both my parents were teachers, so and my father, throughout the course of reading the book, audience will realize that even though my father was such a great person, he was not always a great father, even though he really did the best he could. But people at that time, at least in Iran, people just got married and checked that off their list, and then had kids. They never thought about if that's a good idea to have a kid or not. So there was a lot of challenges with that. But my main problems started after my mom got cancer when I was 8 years old, because my mom was like my emotional rock and my stable, because my dad was very unpredictable and kids need certainty. And after my mom got sick, even though I was only 8, I became in charge of so many things, so many of chores at home, and I still wanted to do good in school. So I had to cut off corners to keep up with my studying and cut my sleep. I started waking up at 4, setting an alarm for 4 a.m. in the morning ever since I was 9, and so that I could get some studying done. Even though my parents were not hard, my dad always said, there is no difference between A and C or even D. Don't, but I didn't want, I wanted to get the respect and the level that I thought I deserved in school. And if you weren't doing good, you weren't getting that much of respect. So I always knew that's not my story. And then my mom was sick for about 7 years, and then she died when I was 14. And during that 7 years, she had on and off, the cancer was on remission for some time, and then it came back, and then it was in remission. So as a kid, I just got this idea that, okay, she sometimes gets sick and she sometimes get better. I never thought she's going to die. I thought that's just how it's going to be. And nobody prepared me. So the way I found out my mom was dead was that they picked me up from school and they told me mom is not feeling well. And they didn't even bother to tell me, at least in the ride home, that, hey, you're going to face her, like her body, not herself. So they just took me to her body. And that's how I realized my mom died. And the way I found out my mom was dead was just, I held her hand and then I noticed that when I squeeze her hand, she's not squeezing back. And then from that point on, my kind of hell started to grow. Like at home, I was feeling extremely lonely because my brother and my dad had this strong bond, and then my dad never developed that kind of bonding with me. And then I didn't have any other woman figure in my life, and there was a conflict between my mom's side of family and my dad, so we suddenly weren't allowed to even visit my grandma. My grandpa also died. My mom's father died 8 months before my mom. So after my mom died, then my grandma also died a year after, and then there was all these sequential losses. Like my aunts died a couple years after. It was just unbelievable. And then on top of all that, it was during my 4th year of high school when I was home, and I really, really wanted to get out of that situation. So I wanted to get into a national university. So in Iran, there are two different of university. The one that you don't have to pay are very, very competitive, and it's kind of, you have to get like an academic scholarship. Like you have to really score in the top 3% in the country to be able to go there. And all my friends and my cousins were getting help, like extra tutor, extra classes. My dad was like, not everybody goes to college, it's not a big deal. So I had to work extra hard, and that caused more tension between me and my dad, because he didn't like it when I was in my room studying. He expected me to be out, like entertaining him and like playing housewife. And it was so, I felt so lonely. And then I went up to,
Yeah, you did. But the way you describe, I think, almost every emotion from the moment that the book begins to the very last word, you describe the emotions of everything that you were going through and the reactions that you were having to the various relationships around you, whether it was people at school or a therapist or being brutally raped, whatever it was. In your book, All Is Well, it is explained with such incredible detail. You feel as though you are there. So you did describe at one point in the book that you actually were born with a photographic memory. Is it still true for you today? Was that a right assessment?
It's not a photography. I mentioned that it's an audio version.
Audio, yes, yeah. Right.
I remember the stories in very details, yeah.
And words, and words that were said many, many years ago. You can remember full words, but not visual. So, but that, have you ever been tested before? So that you would know, are you somewhere on the genius spectrum? Do you know? Have you ever been tested the Mensa or with the IQ test, that type of thing? But
no, I haven't. Yeah. But I have been tested for autism a few years ago, and I'm on the spectrum. Yeah. So
yes, I would say it borders between somewhere between, like near savant, because that's the way your book is so beautifully described, and the emotions, and it was really almost overwhelming at certain places. I just felt like I was in your body, in your skin, listening and experiencing all of this. So you have this unbelievable gift with All Is Well. When reading everything that you went through, okay, so yes, then you went through college and you taught yourself English, and obviously you're in Japan now, you must speak fluent Japanese and everything through all of this, but all of the really unbelievable difficult things you went through. Where does this resilience come from? This center of your being that would name your book All Is Well, with everything you're reading in each chapter, you're going, how can this book be called All Is Well. This is the most difficult thing in the world that any child or any young woman would go through. And yet you named it that. So tell me where this center comes with all the difficulty you went through. Where does it come from? Is it faith-based? Do you have a spiritual leaning, or is it just maybe learning how to survive all the unbelievable things you went through? Where is it? Where does it come from?
I think it's a combination of things. First of all, as you know, my challenges and like hardship started, I was born in it. So as a child, when you are born in a difficult household, you don't realize that that's not how it's supposed to be. You just assume that that's just life and you just have to live it and move forward, and you don't freeze. So, and then gradually, the more hardship you experience, I think the resilience is not something that you decide to build. It's just gradually, with every pain, with every struggle. I always say, because I'm a plant biologist, I always give this example that pain and difficulties are the soil that the resilience will grow into from it. And then that's I think one of the reasons, because I was born in, like, I'm sure if I had an easy childhood, then as a grown up, if something hit me, maybe I would have been a lot more affected by it. And another thing is that as you said, I also have this spiritual belief that I'm like, just because my parents don't believe in me doesn't mean that that's my story. I always knew I have something bigger, and like the universe, God, or whatever you want to call it, it protects me. It has something more than that for me. And on top of all that, from a very young age, because I was always feeling very lonely at home, I developed this strong bond between me and myself, like my inner being. Like even now as an adult, when I'm facing any difficulty, I remember those hard things at home, like hard times, and I talk to my younger self and I tell her, hey, remember when we were there, how like in that situation, how hopeless and hard it was, and remember how we together overcame it and we did it. Like I sometimes tell her, hey, I've got you. I even sometimes hear her telling me, I've got you. I even almost named the book I've Got You, but then I changed it to All Is Well. And that's why I don't think difficulty and pain, I think I came to the understanding that life is not black and white. Like even pain is not 100% bad. It can develop this kind of deep bonding between you and, like, I feel the level of love and respect for myself that I don't think many people experience it, like, because I think I respect the experiences that I've gone through, and I respect myself for overcoming them, and those are all good. That's why I don't think everything I've gone through are 100% bad. So I think the resilience that you are talking about, maybe it's a combination of all these experiences.
Yes, and it sounds to me like you have self-awareness, self-actualization, things that have developed over time that took the pain and turned it into maybe lessons and ways for you to communicate differently with others as a result of saying, I will do things differently than what I had, perhaps. You were thoughtful. It's from moment one when you open the book, All Is Well. From moment one, you feel the emotion of your sweet, sweet heart, and your memories are so poignant about what your feelings were and everything you went through. And all of a sudden I found myself as the reader. I was almost in your body, watching everything going on as if it was going on around me. So compelling. Is this your very first book, or have you been writing lots of them?
No, this is my first book.
Well, that is quite remarkable.
Thank you.
I hope you put it into some types of competitions or something, or if not, I think it can help a lot of people. So I hope it gets into the right places, because it is it in many languages? Since how many languages do you actually speak?
I only speak Persian and English. So my Japanese is not really that good. I mean, I know some Japanese, but I'm not fluent because I invested my time in learning English. Because in academia, because I'm a scientist in academia, that comes more handy than just, so that's why I didn't really become fluent in Japanese while living in Japan.
So you're teaching in English then?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I see. And have, do your students know that you have written this book? Is this something that's well known, or do you sort of separate one part of your life from another? Are they aware that you have this beautiful piece of work?
I haven't really announced it at the university, but I might. Like some of my close friends and like colleagues know about it, but I haven't really publicly announced it. Yeah, I might. One of my goals for deciding to write this book was, as you said, to help others. I think we are taught to stay silent and don't tell our stories, and everybody has difficulties in more or less in different level in their life. And I think hearing about each other's story actually put ours in perspective and help us to overcome. Like that's one thing. Like people tell me, people who have read the book tell me that how did you get the strength? Like you're so brave to write this, and I think. Even though they mean well, they mean it as a compliment, but I feel like it feels backward because that implies that I should have been ashamed and shy away from telling the truth. And that's because of the stigma that is put in the society that, hey, you have to just keep up your appearances in a good way, that you don't tell the truth, you don't tell the story. And I'm hoping by reading my book we can normalize that telling your story is something, it should be something ordinary, not extraordinary. And I'm also hoping that after reading this, people, like we all, be reminded to be kinder to one another, because you never know what other person is going through.
The empathy that you feel reading your story, the empathy, there were 1,000 times I felt like I just wanted to pick you up as this little girl, or then later teenager, whatever, and just comfort you, because, and so I can understand why people think that, but I think there must have been something rather cathartic and healing in writing your story, and then knowing that you are going to be helping people. People are going to gain a lot from this. My guest is Miryeganeh. She is Iranian living in Japan. Her beautiful book is called All Is Well, a memoir of loss, survival, and inner strength. Just a question. Do you ever go back to Iran? Are you able to go back to Iran, or is that just a closed book?
It's a closed book. I'm never going back. Especially my father passed away 5 years ago, and I don't really have anybody. So, yeah.
Well, there you are. And yet I have a feeling you'll be creating many beautiful chapters in your life to come. You're still very young, and there's a lot more to come where this could be very well the beginning of a whole series for you. I appreciate you sharing your story and writing this book. And I know that a lot of people are going to get encouraged to tell their own stories from it. All Is Well, again, wherever fine books are sold, Amazon, the whole gamut.
On Amazon. Yeah.
On Amazon. Okay. Yeah. So it's easy to remember. Mateen is her name, Mateen Miryeganeh. And the book is All Is Well. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. I feel very blessed by your work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you reading it and talking about it.
Thank you, too.
You're listening to The Way Home with Laura Smith. Once again, here's Laura.
Well, the 2025 Bank of America Business Owner Report, that is a survey of more than 1,000 small and mid-sized business owners, which explores all sorts of things when it comes to business viewpoints, goals and outlooks of them. There's somebody here to tell us about what that's all about this year and beyond. Cathleen Callahan is here. She's the managing director of Bank of America, where they did this great survey. So tell us, where are we at right now? What is the temperature out there in terms of businesses and how they are feeling with everything that business owners have to think about?
Laura, we are very excited about the results of our 2025 Business Owner Survey. We talk to a lot of clients in this space. We have 3.5 million clients in startup to 50 million sales revenue client range. And in September, we were named by the FDIC as the #1 small business lender in the United States for the 7th consecutive quarter. So we feel we have a little bit of a pulse on this space. And small to mid-sized business owners feel that we are coming out of a period of great uncertainty, that things are starting to show more clarity in the economic environment. And so 74% expect their revenues to increase, and over half, 59%, plan on expanding their businesses. They are optimistic about the local, national, and global economies. And so as they head into 2026, they expect to be focused on growing their customer bases so that they can thrive with their businesses. To do that, they need to expand their products and services. They need to incorporate AI and other digital tools. And believe it or not, they're looking forward to hiring more staff.
Right, which I think that is a challenge in and of itself in terms of bringing the talent on that you feel is the right fit for your business.
So what we're hearing from business owners is that they want to retain their current staff. They are very focused, 52%, on keeping the same number of employees. 43% plan to hire, and only 1% are talking about layoffs. And so if they stabilize their workforce, that'll allow them to capitalize on new opportunities while maintaining operational strength. But as you say, they are worried about finding the right talent. And so it's not so much available workers, but several factors depending upon the industry and the economy. And there are a couple of gaps. So there's a skills gap. Business owners are often looking for specific qualifications that may not align with the available workforce. And then you have misaligned expectations. There can be a mismatch between what employers are offering and what job seekers are looking for.
Right. But that's interesting to me because AI is becoming pretty ubiquitous at this point. And so I was wondering if that was taking the place of the amount of people that were being hired.
Our report found that 91% of entrepreneurs plan to utilize digital tools in the next 5 years. So digital is a bigger universe than just AI. But for us as bankers, the #1 concern in using digital tools is improving the customer experience by providing more forms of digital payments. AI has become essential to business owners. 77% have integrated it into their operations in the past 5 years. Of those who are using it, 50% are using it in marketing. And so a lot of the marketing content we are now seeing is AI generated. And you're hearing lots more about that. Also using it in customer service. You can't call a customer service line without starting out with a bot, right? Who tries to decide what your problem really is to get you to the right people or the right place to solve the problem. But here's the important thing, and I think this speaks to what you were talking about people. I think we're utilizing AI to, at least right now, to be more productive, and not with the focus on reducing need for top quality employees.
And that sounds very hopeful to me. It really does. I mean, instead of scary, that sounds like its place is going to find its way, and it's going to actually enhance businesses and their productivity and such. Just real quick before we finish here today, in terms of inflation, the supply chain, I mean, that was such a huge thing about, I don't know, was it 3 to 5 years ago? It's just the supply chain issue and people having to wait, and then the prices. It feels like we're coming out of that, or are already out of it. What say you?
Supply chain is still a factor, and it is still feeding into inflation. But it is the supply chain disruptions we're seeing now are mostly related to tariff and to tariff uncertainty. But now that tariff uncertainty is starting to ebb and it's becoming more clear, our business owners are telling us that those concerns are starting to level out. So inflation, #1, supply chain, still an issue as part of that.
Okay. So all very fascinating, interesting information. Is there anywhere anyone can go to get more from the survey to see what they're compatriots are also going through and maybe see where they stand in the middle of all of that? Do you have a place to go and research this?
We do. The full report is available to all of your listeners at newsroom.bankofamerica.com. And we hope a lot of them will visit and look at all the rest of the information that we have there.
For sure. So newsroom.bankofamerica.com, correct?
You got it.
Wonderful, wonderful information and conversation. Cathleen Callahan, Managing Director at Bank of America. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura, for having me and Bank of America here this morning.
Thank you for listening to The Way Home. Each and every one of you are a part of the Way Home family, and we just wish for nothing but great happiness and safety and good health and prosperity, success, everything that you can possibly have to make your life a good one. And we'll see you next time on The Way Home. I'm Laura Smith.
Podcasts by Federated Media.